Nobody told me it takes time for your body to reach this new homeostasis. So the cravings are normal, natural, and should be there. I'm thinking they shouldn't be here. But it wasn't until somebody said, no, they're supposed to be there. Your body's just needing time to hit a new homeostasis, and then they go away. And having somebody tell me they're going to go away, that felt magical. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe that they're going to go away. You mean I'm not going to have a 5 o'clock witching hour the rest of my life? And they're like, no. And I don't now.
Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. Hey friend, welcome back to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm Jenn Trepeck, your host and health coach, here with you every week for Wellness Without the Weirdness. And it's the third week of January, so I think it's possible that your resolution has maybe already fallen by the wayside. Statistically, that's pretty likely. It's also possible that kind of just because of the way the weeks fell this year, that maybe you're just but you're getting into the rhythm of the new year and kind of figuring out what your health plan is going to look like in 2026. And specifically, we want to focus on the plan that's going to carry us through this whole year and beyond. And so no matter which bucket you fall into, I think you're going to love this conversation. So let me introduce you to our featured guest. She has her PharmD, advanced practice pharmacist, MBA, board-certified pharmacotherapy specialist, and is an advanced pharmacist practitioner, certified life and weight loss coach, and host of the Health, Habits, and Epic Living podcast. Through her transformative holistic programs, private coaching, and healing sessions, she has empowered thousands of women to break unhealthy habits, shed stubborn belly fat, and reclaim their health, all while creating a life they truly love. Dedicated to helping women take charge of their health and well-being, she integrates lifestyle medicine, mindset shifts, and sustainable habit change to foster lasting health and vitality. Sound familiar? Right? Prior to becoming a life coach, she co-founded RX Prep Inc., an exam preparation company that helped thousands of students each year become licensed pharmacists. She spent over a decade working as a clinical pharmacist in critical care, cardiology, academia, and the pharmaceutical industry. She graduated from the Philadelphia College of Pharmacy and Science and completed residency programs at Duke University and Barnes Jewish Medical Center. A Pennsylvania native, she now lives in beautiful San Diego with her amazing husband and daughter. We now get to call her part of the Salad with a Side of Fries family. Please help me welcome Dr. Sherry Price.
Woohoo! So excited to be here, Jen.
Likewise, welcome. And I feel like we should let everybody know this is certainly not our first chat, not even our second. So I've been a guest on Health, Habits, and Epic Living. We had a couple fantastic conversations over there. So most recently, we talked about Wellness Made Simple, which aired December 10th. So for everybody listening, when you finish here, pop over to Health Habits and Epic Living. It's a fantastic podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. And it was so fun to interview you on my podcast and read your book. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. And so I want to start, we heard some of your story in introducing you, but I want to start with the parts of your story that kind of lend themselves to the conversation that we're going to focus on today. Really quick though, we have to tell our members what they're getting. So friends, join us in the Happy Healthy Hub. Being a member of the Hub is the next best thing to working with me as your health coach. You get a recipe each week delivered to your inbox. You get curated articles, additional discounts from me and our partners, interview episodes like this one in full video, including behind the scenes content, a community with the ability to post and comment on other people's posts, plus access to the 24/7 Ask Me Anything to target your specific questions or challenges. You can upvote other people's questions, see all the ones from the past, all that stuff. All of this, by the way, is yours for just $12 a month. You can prepay the whole year and get 2 months free. So your recipe this week is for cauliflower popcorn. Now, full disclosure, it doesn't taste like popcorn. Still, I think it's delicious. And you're also getting 10% off my group coaching program. This cohort is beginning the beginning of February. So right around the corner in your email, we'll have the details for you to get in on this group cohort. If you're ready, it's 10% off. So if you want this discount, if you want this recipe, if you want access to the hub, be sure you go to asaladwithasideofries.com/membership. From there, you click subscribe now. Follow the prompts to enter your payment info, create your login to access the hub and all your benefits. Remember, you're going to asaladwithasideofries.com/membership. This supports not only your health, but this show, so we can keep doing this with you every week. Okay, Dr. Sherry, you're a pharmacist. You have extensive background in all of the things and in coaching, and you've helped so many people. In addition to pharmaceuticals, you also talk about perimenopause and hormones and habits. So how did all of this come together for you? Because I think you're crossing two lanes that people often choose one or the other.
Yes. Yeah. Personal story. Just being around the healthcare environment and practicing as a hospital-based pharmacist for a number of years, and just seeing how our habits accumulate over time and can land us in unhealthy places, such as an ICU. I'm specifically speaking to my overdrinking, where it all started for me. And just to give the listener a sense of what I mean by that, I really truly didn't feel like an addict, meaning I didn't feel like I needed it when I woke up. I wouldn't drink on the job, right? These were just hard no's for me. Drinking and driving, generally not. Maybe a few times, like maybe I went a little too much and should have called the Uber, but didn't. But really, it was just the natural end of my day progression, of like transitioning from work life to home life. And it's fine, maybe I thought, with a glass, but that glass became 2, became 3. On the weekends, let's stretch that a little bit more. So it was this habit, I would call it. Felt like truly a habit. It's like 5 o'clock, my body knew, like, hey, where's the alcohol? Or 6 o'clock, whatever time I got home. And I'd call that my witching hour. It's like, okay, I told myself I'm not going to drink, but why am I feeling so pulled to drink right now? And seeing people, in my past career as an ICU pharmacist, like I know where this can lead. I know the liver damage. I know the brain damage. I know it doesn't make me feel good as a person. I'm not mothering, and I'm not proud of that the way I'm showing up as a role model for my child. So for a while there, it didn't bother me. And then all of a sudden it started to bother me. And it really started to bother me more and more, like especially the next day when you're like missing your workouts, or you're not getting up on time, or you're needing that extra cup of coffee or two. It's like, I know better, but why aren't I doing better? And it was through my process of working through that, getting a coach, understanding how the brain works, how the mind works, how habits work, and also how to unwind habits. I think a lot of us, like we love James Clear book, Atomic Habits. Right. We love Tiny Habits. We love all the habits. But I found that there wasn't a lot out there on undoing habits.
Yeah.
And really, like, that's a bit of a different process. So it's not just the direct opposite of instituting a habit, because oftentimes that doesn't work. So it was really through my journey that I'm like, wow, if I am like this, and I honestly didn't feel like I wanted to quit. I didn't feel like I was severe enough for something like a 12-step program. I felt like my story would be like laughed at, and I'm sure it wouldn't be, but you have that judgment about yourself and how you're going to be perceived by others. I also didn't feel safe sharing it, because it's not necessarily anonymous when you see people face to face and they're like, hey, there's my local pharmacist with the problem. Like, that was a lot on the line for my reputation, my career, the degrees I worked so hard for. And I started helping people in the medical profession because I felt like a lot of them are going to be trapped like me. We can't really talk about it elsewhere. There's too much on the line, our reputation, our degrees. So I wanted to go into this area and really help others that were suffering in silence like myself.
Yeah, there's a couple things that you shared in there that I think resonate with all of us, especially people who tune into podcasts like yours and mine. And one of the things that you said is, I know better. Why aren't I doing better? And we have the greatest intentions. We wake up, the plan is to do X, Y, or Z, and then that witching hour, whatever time it is for whatever our thing is, happens. And as we even think about a year, we're still in January, but we're at that witching hour of January where that motivation wanes.
Yes.
So let's talk about that, because I think somebody might be listening and sort of riding high, and somebody else might be riding the struggle bus. And so either way, what do you really want people to know or do differently because motivation is so fickle?
Yeah. It is so fickle. And I think, do I say our society? I don't know. The books, the people we talk to, I'm not sure who puts it in our head to think that motivation is the answer.
Right.
I think it's great to use motivation when it shows up, but motivation isn't the answer. It's more like commitment. Like you might not be motivated to go to work, but you're committed. So you go to work, right? Like there's some things that you're really not motivated to do, but you do anyway. So I think this Pollyanna, I have to feel good about doing my workout. I have to feel good about drinking less or giving up alcohol or changing my relationship with alcohol. No, it's not about motivation and feeling good. And I think that's where a lot of us may feel that then we go to the opposite. Oh, I just have to use willpower. I just have to knock myself down. I just have to knock myself over the head. I just have to beat myself with this bat a couple of times. And then we go into like self-flagellation, or so we tend to go in the opposite direction. And I don't think that's where it's helpful. It might do something once or twice, but then willpower is finite. It runs out. It's more of like the commitment level. And I think it's really the commitment you make to yourself. And some people have a hard time understanding how to do that for themselves, as did I. And that's why I got a coach, right? That's why I reached out to somebody who I'm like, okay, I reached out to somebody who had an overdrinking problem and solved it. And she was my same gender, and that was important to me. So she had like the criteria I was looking for. And I'm like, okay, I need somebody like that to show me the way when I run out of motivation, when I want to rely on willpower, when I can't find the commitment that I need. So I think that a lot of us put this toxic independence on ourselves. I talked about this on one of my podcasts, like, yeah, go get the degree. Like I did all these things on my own, right? So I had this toxic independence. I'll just cure this on my own, or I'll get through this on my own. But I wasn't. I was stuck for years trying to figure it out. And so it's like, okay, humble myself, eat some humble pie, right? Find out whose life I want to emulate and who's done this before, and have them help me if they're willing. And that to me was the magic sauce. And I also loved that my coach was about my same goal. Like the one thing I didn't like about 12 steps is like they told me no alcohol, and I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to hear that. I wasn't ready to go there. That was too scary to me. Like I had a lot of drinks per week. To take that to like nothing. I mean, yeah, I did dry Januaries. I did the sober Octobers. I did those things and I proved it to myself I could, but why didn't it stick? That was the problem. So I wanted it to stick. And so I needed to learn from somebody who's been there and was supportive of my end goal, which wasn't to cut it out, it was just to drink less. And that's why I created the Drink Less lifestyle, is to help others drink less. And harm reduction, there's a lot of benefit to that. And I think it's not served up that way. If you decrease smoking 2 packs a day to half a pack a day, your lungs are doing better, right? Is it optimal? No, but you're doing much better. And so sometimes going smaller steps is easier for people. And that had to be my path, because when I tried the other way, I failed every time.
Same. I mean, there's so many similarities. My thing was the food versus the alcohol. And it was working with a coach and getting some information of like, what's the missing piece?
Yes.
Because I feel like I know a lot, and yet here I am. But the other thing that you're talking about in this idea of going from however many packs a day to none, or however many drinks to none, there's this perfectionism in there. And I'm certainly a recovering perfectionist. I think a lot of us create a plan with this expectation that's maybe not so much based in reality, And it makes me think, so last time you and I spoke, you said to me, never a perfect time, always a great time. And I can imagine somebody sitting here going, well, we're already at January, whatever, or, trying to figure out what is this going to look like so that 2026 is different. When you say never a perfect time, always a great time, what does that mean to you?
I'm with you. I had the perfect plans. I followed things to a T. And I will say a lot of things came easy to me as a child. So when I struggled with something for, 8 years before I really figured it out and really put the effort in to figure it out, like it's almost like humbling and disappointing, and you're mad at yourself and you're like, if I've done everything else right, why can't I figure this out? And so there's that element of perfectionism, like it needs to go the way I have it planned. And so there's a part of you that's like, okay, if it's not going to go perfectly, right? If it's not the perfect plan, if it's not the perfect time, then there's the great plan or the great time, right? Like stop shooting for perfectionism. Like, okay, all right, you were supposed to have 3 drinks a week and you had 6. That's still way better than where you were last month, which is, at 20 something or whatever, right? So I like to think of it as a progression that's not perfection.
Yeah.
Because we tend to get hard on ourselves. We're the hardest on ourselves than anybody, especially if you're a high achieving woman, man too, right? High achieving people. I think we're so high achieving because many reasons. We're driven. We got a lot of great qualities, a lot of great talents, a lot of great ideas, but it could be where we don't have enough grace and mercy for ourselves. So that's why I don't want perfectionism to be the enemy of great or good.
Yeah, that progress. Yeah. And it's interesting because as you're saying this, I'm thinking about how we can sit here and still be frustrated, or still think about this. So how do we reconcile that? Like, how do we say, okay, intellectually, I understand that progress is there. And especially working with a coach, this is one of the things that I do with people every single week is point out the progress that they're sort of denying acknowledging.
Yeah.
How do we help people do that? Because I think that's a difference maker for this year, for making this approach and whatever you do different.
Yes, yes. I think there's 2 things in that. You become motivated by how you feel, or you become driven by how you feel, right? So I didn't want to use the word motivated, but I did. So I changed it to driven. So like if you're, let's just say, out of money, you're really driven to find work. And then sometimes the pain needs to get bigger, or the frustration needs to get bigger, or the disappointment needs to get bigger for you to actually now consider more possibilities, more jobs, different jobs. You get out of this tunnel vision of how something has to go, how something has to look. So when one is frustrated, I don't always find that to be a bad thing. I find that to be, wow, that could be a major driver on why you need to change this behavior. So that's first and foremost, because I think a lot of us see frustration as like something we need to avoid and escape and get out of. But as a pharmacist, I'll tell you the reason why, pain meds are in the top 10 is because you do something with your pain. If you have hypertension, you don't feel it. You're not going to the doctor to look to cure blood pressure problems if you don't feel it. But you look to the doctor if you have heartburn or any kind of pain. You're like, yes, I need to change this because it motivates you or drives you to change behavior. So I love pointing that out because then people are like, oh, I'm going to make friends with this frustration because it's going to help me go to where I want to go. And then the second part, what you were saying is oftentimes, yes, when we're in the negative motion, I would say most people would describe frustration as a negative emotion. I don't always find it a negative emotion now because I've changed my relationship to my feelings. I just find it now more information. But really, when you get in that space, it's like, oh, your brain will automatically want to tell and crap all over you. And you will only want to see where you haven't been rather than, like you said, all the little things that you've changed along the way. And, it might be change the groceries you bring into the house or the stuff you fill up in the pantry. And then you're frustrated because there's like no sugar in the house or nothing to eat or whatever, your favorite things are gone. But you can reframe that and say, but this is why. And now your body, just give it some time to adjust. Like nobody told me it takes time for your body to reach this new homeostasis. So the cravings are normal, natural, and should be there. I'm thinking they shouldn't be here. But it wasn't until somebody said, no, they're supposed to be there. Your body's just needing time to hit a new homeostasis and then they go away. And having somebody tell me they're going to go away, that felt magical. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe that they're going to go away. You mean I'm not going to have a 5 o'clock witching hour the rest of my life? And they're like, no. And I don't now. Like, it's true. At first I was like, are you sure? Is that smoke and mirrors you're selling me? But it's true.
I remember saying to somebody, over time, the cravings will disappear. And she just looked at me and she goes, you're wrong. And I was like, yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, right. And I would tell my coach that too. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? I'm like feeling like I'm hanging on by nails here, and it is true.
Yeah.
It is true. And that's also to give yourself that, I call it the messy middle. When you get started, everything feels romanticized, beautiful. You've got this glimmering perfectionistic plan on how it's going to go. You think you're going to be motivated every day or driven every day to do it. You're totally committed. And you really don't think in a week or a month, you're going to feel differently. But life happens and you do. So then there's the messy middle, and having somebody to walk with you in that messy middle so you get to the other side. Wow. Game changer in how fast you get to the other side. Game changer in what you learn about yourself getting to the other side. Because there's gold in that messy middle too. I think people just want
That's
to.
where we learn.
Yeah. People would just want to white knuckle it, put blinders on, and just start running. Like,
Exactly.
get me out of here. Like a bad dream, right?
I'm always
But
more concerned about the person who gets from A to B in a straight line.
yes,
Like,
yes. And doesn't have any step.
Exactly. That person hasn't learned the things that allow us to keep going when life shows up.
Yeah. Like going into a bar or a restaurant and always ordering a nice fancy cocktail with my food and then not having to do that and not having to like berate the waiter who says, "Would you like a drink with that?" And I'm like wanting to cut out his tongue. Like, okay, I need a different response here. And wait, my brain doesn't know how to respond to the no. So
Yeah.
I'm over exaggerating slightly, but just to make a point that you just have to relearn certain behaviors and certain patterns. And it just takes a bit of time and it just feels a bit wonky in the middle.
Yeah. So taking this idea of the messy middle, and the other thing that I want to go back to that you said was you talked about, you found someone whose objective was the same as yours.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's critical. We've talked about this in a few episodes, but this idea that like we sort of assume that everybody has the same goal as us and then we're following their recommendations, but actually they're training for a marathon and I have no desire to run a marathon. Like,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I want to go through thinking through a handful of concepts or things that people might focus on this year, and then take this idea of the messy middle. What can we, for each of those, help people maybe do more of or less of in each of those categories? And so people can find their focus in this episode. Sound good?
Yes.
Awesome. So we'll do that after we highlight our partner for this episode. It's a new year, and with it, we're hearing from everyone about what we should, in air quotes, be doing. Every headline says something different. Every influencer has a new rule. Every friend has a thing they're doing or not doing. And somehow you're left wondering if you're the problem. Well, you're not. You've simply been given broken tools. And that's why I wrote Uncomplicating Wellness. Ditch the rules, quiet the noise, reclaim your life. It's not another plan to follow. It's a guide to finally filter the noise and trust yourself again. The book is science, sanity, and the real foundations of feeling your best without obsession, without guilt, and without burnout. If you've ever wished wellness could feel simple, this book is for you. Find Uncomplicating Wellness wherever books are sold or text the word book, B-O-O-K, to 833-801-0500 to learn more with a clickable link. Again, text the word book, B-O-O-K, to 833-801-0500. Let's move from exhaustion to clarity, from fear to discernment, and from chasing healthy to truly feeling well on your own terms. Okay, Dr. Sherry, so like high level, a few things people might want to focus on or think about. Maybe we just list them and then go into each one. What are some of the top ones that come to you? The alcohol, I guess, from your story, for sure.
Yeah. And I think clarifying it doesn't have to be your end goal, but what is something you want to achieve along the way, right? For me, saying 0 drinks at the time I was looking to cut back just didn't even seem like fun. Like I'd rather just die an alcoholic, or if that's where my life is headed, but really just getting honest with yourself, radical honesty with yourself. And I think that's really helpful when you share it with somebody. It could be just privately with a coach, especially if you don't have a supportive home environment. You don't want to share it and, somebody throw mud at it, right? That's not going to help your self-esteem. Plus, this might feel like a time of vulnerability. It's vulnerable because maybe you haven't been able to achieve it in the past. Maybe you've tried achieving it on your own and you haven't. So there could be some fear around that. There could be mixed emotions around it. It makes you happy, but makes you like scared because you're now pushing yourself or stretching yourself. But I think it's really important to define for you what the next phase looks like. Maybe it's not the final phase, but just getting to that next phase is really going to help anchor your commitment. And I think that's important, is to start anchoring your commitment for you.
I love that. And again, like that next phase might be a focus on sleep. It might be a focus on hydration, stress,
yes,
movement, the alcohol, whatever it is. And like, I love the idea of also sharing it and being selective about who we share it with. Because I also think there may be moments where we want to do less of the sharing. Like, not everybody has to know every single thing.
Yeah, right. And people get really, I mean, I'm sure it's around food, but I have just a lot of experience of shame or like I'm going to disappoint people if I cut back on drinking because I hung around with a bunch of people who drank. I mean, that was my, scene. And so if they're expecting me to show up a certain way, because I've been showing up a certain way for the past decade or more, and now I start showing up differently, you wonder if you're going to fit in, you're going to belong, if you're going to bring up something in them, if you're going to start to feel some heat or some judgment or they're drink pushers somehow. There's just all these thought processes that come up in your mind. And I just think it's so helpful to talk through them with somebody because it's not like role playing. I'm not saying that. I think when people hear talk through something like that, they think, oh, we're going to say, how are you going to explain this? And you say this. And no, it's not that. It's really getting out and getting clear with what's holding you back, what your fears might be, and how to look at those so they stop being barriers to your growth and your progression.
1,000%.
Yeah. And not everybody's a great sounding board. Let's just say that. A lot of people have their own opinions that they're going to throw at you, like, oh, I like this job. You shouldn't do that. You're not going to be good at that. Right? Whoa, 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 whoa. So
Right.
You want to get the right partner, right sounding board, right therapist, coach, somebody who can really allow you to explore that without judgment.
For sure. And so let's say somebody, we'll start with the alcohol. Let's say somebody says, I'm doing dry January. I just had a client message me, I'm doing dry January. Well, what about after? Or maybe somebody's like, I'm not doing dry January. That sounds miserable and would not work for my life or whatever. What could we do more of and do less of to move in the direction of maybe less drinking if that's the goal?
Yeah. Yes. I love this question so much. So honoring your desire. I think a lot of people think I have to look at what I'm giving up. And when you give up some alcohol, you're getting so much more, right? And that's why you're attracted to it. So what are the pieces you're attracted to? For me speaking, I'm excited about how I'm going to feel the next day. I'm not saying, remember that in the moment. Like people take this conversation and then their brains are off to the races, right? But just slow down, stay with me, because if your body is telling you it's too much, there's a reason. Your body is accurately assessing the situation and it's wanting a change for a reason. And so just really saying, what's the desire on the other side? I want to feel good. I want to feel healthy. I want to start going to the gym instead of like conking out on myself. Or I really want to remember conversations with my girlfriends. And I really want to not go to bed blacking out and in my clothes without my teeth brushed, right? Like I would really like to do my nightly routine. So there's going to be aspects that you're adding in when you're making these changes. And I think a lot of people look at what they're giving up rather than looking at all the things that their body or their mind is desiring and just allow it to bathe in that, write it down even so you can come back to that. Because that feels really good when you start taking care of yourself in a way that you fuel your own desire, not desire for the alcohol, but desire for what you're missing because you have so much alcohol. And maybe it could be connection with yourself, connection with your feelings. I know a lot of women, I have to kind of get them to meet their feelings again because they've numbed from them for so long. And I'm sure this is with food, right?
Oh, yeah.
You just numb out how you feel. And so these sad feelings or disappointment feelings can feel so big because they haven't felt them in years. And yeah, they do feel like the boogeyman's coming out of the closet, right? And so it's like, okay, let's start meeting these feelings so they don't feel like they consume you where you feel like you have to numb again.
I also think it can feel lonely when we're making that choice. And so this actually reminds me of our episode with Sarah Raggi, where we talked about how she started networking with a workout class instead of a happy hour.
Nice.
And so maybe it's more activity plans.
Yeah.
And less food, dinner, meal, happy hour plans.
Yes. Yeah. I'll do dates on Zoom if it's too cold outside, although it doesn't really happen here much where I'm at. But hikes are big, morning walks are big, walks with our dogs, a workout class, coffee, tea, just sitting outside. Some of the Starbucks in our area just have an outdoor side and you don't really even have to order from them. You don't get kicked out. So just meeting up there. So many ideas to get creative.
Love that.
I know a guy in our neighborhood does these man walks every Thursday. It's so healthy to see like a group of men walking together. And I see stroller strides, like so many different ways, no matter what age group you're in, that we can be a little more active and a little more creative in getting together. I was just talking to somebody actually today, remind me, she's like, oh, I'm going to my bunco group tonight, but we've been meeting for 17 years and we've never played a game of bunco. So they call it the bunco group without the bunco, but they just go and support each other. And they're like, we're just lifelong friends. And we found that we just didn't need the bunco. We just wanted to talk.
Oh my God. By the way, my only reference of bunco is Real Housewives of Orange County. And so I can't, anybody who knows. Anyway, so the other thing you started to mention in there is how some of those same feelings can show up with the food part. And so thinking about if nutrition or that food piece and that fuel is where you're focused, I think a more of less of thing, if we could say more veggies, less processed food, more protein. Another thing I love, Sarah Raggi said, was more at each meal, less often.
Yeah. Yes. Trying to build up to 3 meals, no snacking. Yeah.
You know, provided that those are sufficient meals and the timing of our day makes sense for, you know, like sometimes a snack is needed. But the way we're talking about these things really doubles down on what you were saying before of progress over perfection. Never a perfect time, always a great time. The things that we can do and recognizing those and what we're willing to do.
Yes. I'm even thinking like more fasting, less feasting, you know, I mean, not to say you can't feast, but getting a good amount of time that your body is detoxing and in that rest state, in that parasympathetic state. I think a lot of us are just go, 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 go. And if you look at the people who are go, 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 not only do you hit burnout, but you become less productive. I would challenge any woman, particularly, to put in her schedule an hour of rest into her day, and she will find that there is no compromise in productivity. And even as you increase that to 2 hours and sometimes up, some of the women I give that challenge to, they become more productive because they truly need the rest. And your mind gets to declutter in that space that when you do come back to a project or whatever you're working on, you're just like barreling through.
Yes, for sure. And that kind of reminds me, let's go to the stress piece, because more quiet time is 1,000% helpful with the stress.
Yeah.
I also think less sensory overload is connected to that, less autopilot.
Yes, right. This is just what I do. Like, let's really sit with that. Like, what's your intention, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I love the stress piece so much because it's not a measure it's not something that's a marker that's easy to measure, right? Of course, we have the fancy cortisol, but that's even time consuming to get. And it's only a snapshot of that day if you do it right, you know, the 4 or 5 measurements throughout the day. So that gives you a snapshot for that day or that week or what your time period is. But it's one that's like harder to measure. And I think because we're such in this fast-paced phones all the time, all the things, I think our baseline is stress.
Yes.
So I don't think we know what non-stress or less stress feels like. And I will find that some people, when they get to that less stress state or on the way to that, they'll say things like, I'm bored, I'm lazy. And it's this like, since I'm not productive, quote, in their mind, or I'm just sitting on the couch, that somehow this is bad. And I think it's because their stress is starting to lower, but they're not down at the I'm not stressed level to really feel what that can feel like. Because when you get there, I tell you, I've been there. You like just go to a vacation you've taken for about a little bit more than 7 days if you've ever had that. Because by week 2, you're like, oh, this is a different level of decompression.
Right.
Like I used to start thinking about work on that 3rd day and 4th day. It popped into my mind and all those emails I left behind. But on day 8 and 9, What emails? Like there's another level. And unfortunately, because we're so overstimulated, I think it does take a lot longer to get there. But that's not to say, the hour or the 2 or whatever you can do throughout your day doesn't help and doesn't stack up over time. I really think our systems are too wired. And then we need the coffee and the go-go juice and all of that and the Red Bull and Celsius and all these, whatever these elixirs that we're now sucking down by the millions. And we're not even understanding all the natural flavors in them. I mean, that's a bit scary. And then at night, of course, you need the drink because like the alcohol has to bring down all those
Right. We need the
stimulants.
downer for the upper.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. Like a pot of coffee just to get out the door to handle my day and the up, because I didn't feel rested enough because I was only relying on sleep to give me rest and downtime, right? Otherwise, got to keep going. So there are ways you can do it and plan it throughout your day that it doesn't have to take huge chunks. And honestly, like exercise snacks. We might find out it's going to be just like exercise snacks. Exercise snacks are these small chunks where you're doing exercise throughout the day. Turns out to be more beneficial for the body than a 50-minute workout. Like studies are showing us this now. So yeah, because you're sitting 23 hours, working out 1 hour, right? Like that. Yeah. But if you get it in periodically throughout the day, your body does better, it responds better, has better outcomes. And I think we might find that even with little stress reduction practices or mini meditations or things we can do to put into the day so that we have less stress by the end of the day.
1,000%. And it's interesting because as you were saying that too, the thing that occurred to me was also for so many of us, because I used to work in hedge funds, used to work in hospitals. We operated from a baseline level of stress that was just the air you breathe,
Yes.
And I see it too, especially with my clients after they retire. They don't know what to do because, again, it feels unproductive. It feels totally different. Like, this is how I function, is this identity around that stress level.
Yes. It's almost like the stress gave me an identity.
Yes.
Like I am important. I am here to save lives. I'm here to make people money. I'm here to whatever the calling was. And shifting away from that can be very jarring for the nervous system for sure.
So if we think about this identity piece and the more of and less of in order to shift that, what would you say?
For me, I'll tell you what's been helpful is we wear different roles and looking at those as different hats, different roles, and not necessarily saying it's my full identity. So I'm a mom, I'm a pharmacist, right? I play these roles. I'm a health coach, right? I'm a podcaster, right? Like the things that we say about ourselves. I think people, for me, I used to say that as my identity, but now I'm just looking at them as they're my roles. I have certain responsibilities in roles, but then I get to disconnect from those roles. Yes, I get to disconnect as a mom. I owe that to myself to have sanctity and peace and not be like on all the time, right? Just like at your job, you get to step back and say, okay, I don't have to do that role right now and just sit with I am human. I am in human need of rest. And sometimes that's my identity, a human that deserves and needs rest. So I'd like the identity piece to be like, who are you? When they say, tell you about yourself, I feel a lot of us are like, want to throw out all these things. I'm this. But I think that's just all the roles we play. But when it comes down to it, we're just all humans on this planet having a spiritual purpose in a human form. And that's who we are.
Yeah.
And the rest are just roles.
I love it. I think that's a really nice place to sort of put a pin in it for this moment in this conversation. And the piece that I'm really coming away with is this gentleness to our experience and even the things that we want to do and most desire for 2026. We can do that and not in a way that requires 100% or zero.
Yes. And a lot of times we'll fill up that to-do list thinking when I do all these things, then I will feel X. And what a lot of people find out is they do all those things and they still feel the same. And that is heartbreaking because that's when you feel like, oh my gosh, I bought into this lie that when I do all this, I will have magical health and and feel amazing. And that's not the point, right? And to do these things with the mindset of these are benefiting me And I also get to rest at the end of this list, not just keep adding to the list.
For sure. All right. It's time for a rapid fire off-topic questions. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. What's the best thing you've done for your health this week? What's the naughtiest thing you've done related to your health this week? Not that anything's really naughty, but the salad and fries of your week, if you will.
Oh, the best thing I did for my health this week, I rocked it out of the park with my sleep.
Nice.
So good. I'm such a great sleeper right now. I'm loving it. Worst thing I did, I had some peppermint bark that was left over.
Sounds delicious.
It was. It so was.
Yeah. If you weren't a pharmacist and coach, what would you do?
Right now, I'm very interested in hormones and hormone replacement, BHRT for women, and it's getting all the rage. The black box warning's coming off. So I think I'd be a hormone doctor.
Yeah. Favorite book on any topic other than your area of expertise, or you could give us a fiction book.
Okay. I have to say the one I'm listening to on Audible right now because it's top of mind. It's called Radical Wholeness, Finding Your Peace and Space Within Yourself. It's an excellent read.
Ooh. All right. I'm adding that to my list. If you could cure one ailment, disease, or sickness, what would it be?
Perfectionism.
It's a good one. Yep.
Maybe it's because we talked about it so much or because I've suffered with it for so long. But I find that the people who embrace their imperfections, they're so much more fun to be around. They're joyful, right? It's the perfectionism thing is really got to go.
For sure. If you were a superhero, what would be your superpower?
I know this sounds corny, but I'll say it anyway. I want to get better at this. And I think that's why I want to love people. I want people to feel my love when I'm with them.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Now it makes this next question feel silly, but what's your biggest pet peeve?
Oh, biggest pet peeve. I think it's when people get too loud and I feel like noise pollution. Maybe I'm super sensitive as a soul, but like super, super loud people who feel obnoxious to me when they're eating next to me or doing something. It's just like, I need my little bubble.
Yes. All right. Last one, in your opinion, what's the next frontier in wellness?
Well, I think we're doing more of the wearables. I think we might have some wearables with AI bots that talk back to us even more than the watch that says you should be standing now.
Right.
I think there's going to be more wrist coaches and wearables telling us what to do. And I'm not sure as a species how we're going to like that.
Yeah, for sure. We tend to be, some of us tend to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could tell me a little bit what to do, but when you take it to the next level, I'm going to stop purchasing you.
Right. Well,
turn off that notification.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, Dr. Sherry Price, thank you for being here. Tell everybody how to connect with you, where to learn more about everything you offer, and a reminder of your podcast too.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure to spend time with you, Jen. I hope you feel my love. That's my superpower.
I do.
I'm trying to sense it over the screen today. Everything I do is on epicyou.com. So that's my website, EPICYOU.com. I just love helping people feel more amazing in their bodies. I do have a podcast called Health Habits and Epic Living, which you've been a 2-time guest on and hopefully 3 in the future. I love sharing all the women's health information there. And I'm on Instagram as well at Dr. Sherry Price.
Perfect. We'll put links to everything below to keep it easy for everybody. But thank you for being here. I truly appreciate your approach and your energy. And yes, we feel your love. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jen.
Absolutely. All right, friends. On Friday, in this week's bite-sized bonus episode, we're talking about NEEP foods. Have you heard of this?
No.
I know. So, okay, Dawn, who's on my podcast post-production team, sent this one to me. She said she saw this protein gel and it sounded interesting. So we're going to look at it together on Friday in this week's bite-sized bonus episode. Be sure wherever you're listening, click the plus sign or the follow button, and then your app will alert you when it goes live on Friday morning. Well, as always, everybody, I'm Jenn Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram or all social media. I am at Jenn Trepeck, JENNTREPECK. Website is asaladwithasideoffries.com. Pick your platform, send a message, send your takeaways, your ideas, your questions. Hearing from you is the highlight of my day. And Dr. Sherry Price, thank you again for being here.
Thank you, Jen. Love you.
Love you. And friends, if you are not already, become a member of the Happy Healthy Hub. You'll go to asaladwithasideoffries.com/membership. This shows your support for this podcast, this community. Most importantly, it supports your health. On top of this week's episode in full video with behind the scenes pieces, your 24/7 Ask Me Anything, our community chat, and all the things, you will get this week's recipe for the cauliflower popcorn, plus 10% off my next group coaching cohort that begins early February. So until next week, remember, the time is always now. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.